Hello, friends. Good evening and welcome. So here we are going to have a virtual tour to the beautiful place of the dancing butterflies called Namdafa. That's been a favorite place, of course, and I've been going there since 1993, chasing butterflies. So we will wait for a while till some people join in. We always have some latecomers, but we will not wait for a lot long. We'll surely start soon, not to keep those who have come in time, not to keep you waiting, friends. So basically, I'm sure uh, this must be on a lot of people's wish list to go and visit places of, especially Northeast, is a wonderful land of culture, beauty, of diversity of people, to see butterflies, orchids, birds, other, you name it, and North is such a diverse place actually, and it's always been a rather on a wish list of everybody, and it is something that will never disappoint you. That's the best part of Northeast, and Northeast has been always like a mecca for me because when I started first, that was in 1993 actually. That was my first visit to Namdafa. Of course, I was not prepared to take the shock that I was basically to see so many butterflies. But that was basically beginning, and I didn't have a good camera then. I was photographing with a 2x converter, and that was the time when we were using film, Ektachrome and Kodachrome films. You can imagine, that was not a digital age, no internet, no digital, so it was different times. I've been there, but today it's different, and but the forest is always very rewarding, Namdafa. Though a lot of places have been encroached upon and some places have shrunk, but Namdafa as a national park is still there very much. There has been increase of human population around Namdafa also, and that is worrying everybody who loves Namdafa. So, friends, we will start now. Basically, to go to Namdafa, actually, you have to either fly to Assam, that is Guwahati, or take a train to Guwahati. And if you fly to Guwahati, then you can take connecting flight to Dibrugarh, and from Dibrugarh you can actually take a uh, hire vehicle, or even if you have arranged your bookings with guys in Miao, I'll give those contacts, so they'll come and pick you up. It's and beautiful road they have connected now with the airport and towards Miao. New road has come and it takes you perfectly with no hitches. Or if you are traveling by train, then of course you go to Guwahati, and there are and you're on a budget tour. Then you can possibly, like we used to go by the local buses. Actually, they are overnight buses available from Guwahati, and next morning you are in Miao almost. So that's how you travel. So let's start our tour to. Now, where is Namdafa actually? Of course, Namdafa is in Arunachal Pradesh, and it is on the border of Myanmar, Burma, and it is quite a large park actually, something like 1,985 square kilometers of park. That is possibly the fourth largest national park in India, Namdafa, and it's a tiger reserve. Luckily, you are allowed to walk in this. Otherwise, most of the tiger reserves I don't visit because you can't walk in tiger reserves. They don't allow you. You have to go in vehicle also. And if you are chasing butterflies, then you have to walk. And luckily, this place still you are allowed to walk, and that's the best part in Namdafa. And every step is a surprise for you. Actually, Namdafa is so much rich, especially for butterflies and birds, I would say, and even plants also, of course. So it's there on the border of Myanmar, and it's as a crow flies, and then it's located on those Dafa Boom range or Mishmi Hills and the Patkai range, and you can see the kind of range from 200 meters, that is something 600 feet, to 14,000 feet, 14,000 to 15,000 feet almost. Of course, we don't go to that high. We usually we don't because the area is so vast and so dense that and inaccessible also. So it's just impossible to check all the areas in these places. So we go to only certain places today, and the forest is amazing, dense. For some places are so dark and dense that you have to really go. You can go to certain extent, then you have to come back. You can't just go. It's so thick. That's amazing. and that makes it's a very important biodiversity hotspot in the eastern Himalayas. So I was talking about how to reach there. Again, I can repeat them if people have come late. So, so Miao is about 156 kilometers from the nearest airport, that is Dibrugarh. So basically, Miao is a small town there next to the Namdapha. That's the town. If you are to visit Namdapha, you have to be in Miao, and Miao is the only town, and it's a lovely small town there. And that you can straight away call a car from Miao if you have some friends there, or I'll be giving you some contacts also. They are on the Facebook, so they'll help you to hire cars, or you can book a car from the airport itself. And the nearest railway station is of course Tinsukia, and by road also it's quite good. I've been, in fact, since 1993 I've been traveling by road only and by overnight buses. It was always a budget tour. I didn't recently only I started going by air, but otherwise earlier it was always a bus tour, and it was amazing. You sit in the night and morning you reach there, and throughout the night you travel throughout, and you pass through Kaziranga. You always have, and we used to wait for our dinner at stop was at Kaziranga. Of course, not in Kaziranga. Kaziranga was just on the next to the roadside, but we had this local hotel where we used to wait at Kaziranga in the middle of the night, and then again proceed. And by morning you reach there to Miao, and of course before going you have to also prepare for inner line permit. You need to get inner line permit. Either you can apply online, or maybe if you have guys contacts I'll give you, they can also arrange for you inner line permit, because all these, as a rule, if you are visiting any of the border areas of India, you need to have inner line permit, and that is what required for our entering Arunachal Pradesh also. So they will check this inner line permit as you enter Miao. Miao is a border town. So that's how you can reach, either air, rail, or by road. But the best way is to go by air or by road. That's the best way. Or there is a direct train also from, you can go from Assam, from Guwahati you can start, that is, and next day you will be in Tinsukia. So here you are at the gate of the Namdapha National Park, a small gate. Of course, here is a problem when when you're carrying your cameras. These people actually have a strange rules. They look at the length of your lenses, and they'll charge you accordingly. So they think that the longer the lens, that means you're the more professional you are, and you are supposed to pay a lot more money. So they'll charge you as much as 500 rupees for a day. So sometimes it's better to tuck your lens in your bag and keep only small lens out so they can see, and you can pay the required charges. Otherwise, it becomes rather unreasonable. You don't earn money by photographing. So people should understand. But somehow this is strange rules here. So you can always work out that. So, and best way is to walk, because of course there is a long route. There's about 14 kilometers. But if you can walk, and then you always keep a vehicle standby, that's the best way, because while walking you'll be coming across a lot of interesting photographic opportunities. Lot more. So walking is the best way, and look at the landscape. The rivers, the blue waters, and the white round rocks are typical of the northeast. If you go, many of the rivers will have these kind of round rocks. But yes, best place to just walk towards the rest. We'll be going to the rest house at the Diban. So 14 kilometers. Maybe we might be too tired also, or en route we will be halting for lunch also. But you can make by evening. Actually, you can go there. You can travel slowly, because you are not walking straight. You are going to halt many times, photograph butterflies, photograph flowers. You might be watching birds en route. So obviously that will take time. So you're not going to walk straight home. So that will take time. So it might take almost like a 6 to 7 hours walk also. You never know. So best thing is, once you arrive at Miao, it's better to spend your day at Miao. If you're coming late, late in the afternoon or late in the evening, don't straight away head to Deban unless you want to go. But stay at Miao overnight if you can, and then start early morning. Actually, that's the best time. Early morning means just after sunrise, around 7:30 you can start, because the sunrise is early. So around 7:30 is good to start with, 7:30, and you can start walking. So you'll get the best opportunities there. And then as you go, you can see that the forest is very different here. The forest is mainly bananas, wild rice, wild sugar cane. So much of these are genetic biodiversity you will be seeing. This is where the forest, why we require forest, to realize that forests are basically gene pools. All the dal chawal we got is all here actually. The wild rice, varieties of wild rice, wild of sugar cane, bananas, uh, several varieties of medicinal plants, and you might even come across a rudraksha tree also here if you're lucky. And the rivers, beautiful rivers, the Dihing, Noha Dihing river that flows along, and you'll be following it. You'll be getting this river there also when you stay at Deban. So that's a lovely river that follows in Namdafa. And of course, en route you'll have so much of opportunities. You'll never go, and you have to be ready with your lens out and ready, because so much you'll see en route. And of course, there have been cases, especially it rains also 6 months in Arunachal Pradesh. So many times there are landslides, and sometimes roads are so bad. There have been cases when we have got stuck, but we did manage to go through. Of course, the vehicle could not go, but we could somehow negotiate and go. So there have been time when we did suffer because of landslide. But yes, that is always in Himalayas and other northeast areas, in hilly areas. Landslides are a problem. Like this area also, there was a heavy landslide, but somehow they had repaired immediately and we could walk through. But yes, every step is very interesting there. And the forest is so dense. And then you can see the people when actually you get to see a butterfly there, mud puddling on the road. People just roll down the muck. They don't bother where they are, whether there's a cow dung around there or some other muck is there. They just roll down. That's the beauty of butterflying. And these are, we have to be crazy of actually what you are pursuing. Actually, you can see different the level of interest. You can see in this photograph that how people are interested. Some are very much interested, crazy. Some are slightly. Some are very less. Some are hardly. So you can see the kind of their involvement in this photographic session. So you can come out. You can actually realize how much people are interested in different levels. Actually, of course, whenever you are going in Arunachal Pradesh, you have to be ready for the ticks and for the leeches. More than ticks, especially it rains there, so leeches are everywhere actually, and you have to be very very careful because they get into your clothes many times. So you have to wear these leech guards. Either you can buy them, and online you can buy them actually here in Mumbai or Pune or other cities. You can buy them online by Amazon, other places, Flipkart, you can buy them. Or there's a local tailor in Miao actually. If you reach there in the morning or evening, you tell him, he'll make overnight, he'll stitch a ready-made leech guard for you. So that's also possible. You can make a local, and it's quite. I've been using those locally made leech guards, which the local tailor there in Miao stitches within a couple of hours. So that's always, but better to buy and better be prepared. And I take tobacco powder, and snuff also, and then I smear it on my shoes, and I put them in my shoes also, and smear it on my pants, my jeans, because leeches can be a problem because if they get inside you, they just you keep on bleeding sometimes for hours. Of course, it's very serious, but the wound doesn't coagulate, so that's the problem. But there are huge leeches there. That's a small price you have to pay sometimes. And of course, waterfalls, plenty of waterfalls on the way, and streams, and that's the place actually where you have to wait, and you are most likely to get butterflies. That's the best time and best places, and I always wait here. There's Anamika Fall, that is the name of this place, of Anamika Fall, and this will never disappoint. And I got some of the most interesting species in this place of Anamika Falls. That is en route as you proceed from the Namdafa gate to Deban guest house. And you see the interest of butterfly, it's amazing. When you see butterfly, people just scramble, and it's like, and some are, I've been going since 1993, and today also I was here, this 2020, I was in this March, I have taken this photograph, when there was a butterfly meet which Minom Pertin and Roshan Upadhyay, the Seeds NGO which is there in Miao, had organized. And I see the local people here now are equipped. They are doing the studies. They are doing MSc, PhD, and they are having good equipment. So that's a change. When I had been in '93, they were all looking at awe to me when I was carrying lenses and cameras, and they were all helping us for cooking and for carrying luggage and all. But now they are all educated, So that's a great change I see, and I'm so happy about it actually. That people have the standard of living has improved in Arunachal Pradesh, and people are so friendly and they speak Hindi so well, that sometimes even I feel that my Hindi should be corrected by. They're so well, and and we enjoyed the Hindi songs there. It's nothing like, the cultural, they're so much closer to the Indianness actually. There's nothing to be worried about. And food also is very much, you can get a variety of food there. Indian food you want there, so they are good at it. And there's a lot of mixed population also there in this area, where you can see a lot of, but the locals are very much well educated, and they are very much patriotic also. That's the best part of Arunachal Pradesh. And the butterflies, look at the butterflies. This is the map butterfly, the common maplet, the orange butterfly you see on the top left. This is the maplet. This is one of the most common butterflies seen there many times. Mud puddling, and then you have this yellow, the chocolate albatross, sometimes mud puddling there. And along the road you'll see plenty of butter. More than flowers, you'll see them on a mud puddling, or on some dead animal, dead crab, or dead snake also, but less on flower. That's a magpie, a crow here. Magpie, it's a crow actually, but it's got a white patch. It's called a magpie crow. And then we have this gem, common gem here. The common gem is very beautiful when it opens the wings. It's a beautiful, and this is, these butterflies are found right in Mia only. Before starting only entering the gate, I started getting these butterflies. I did not enter the gate also. So much butterflies around Mia itself you can get. And this is another butterfly which I got, which is a wavy maplet. Look at this maplet. This is a common maplet. See the lines here actually on the forewing. The lines are straight, right? Look at this. And this is a wavy map. See this line is wavy, and there are less lines here also. So that's the difference between the common maplet and wavy maplet. So that was a rare butterfly that you can encounter in Namdapha. That's the best place to photograph wavy maplet, that is Namdapha. And the kind of other butterflies you keep on seeing, like this leopard lacewing female, she is female lacewing, leopard lacewing, and the striped blue crow here on the left bottom. And the male is very pretty. When it opens the wings, it's beautiful, brilliant blue. The female is less of the blue she has on the upper side, but she is more striped. So male and female look different in the blue crows, and all the crows are blues actually. Most of the crows are blues there. Not unlike Mumbai, Pune, or Chennai, we don't have this kind of crows. Our crows are brown or black, but never blue. But here the crows are mostly blues with different kinds. There are different species of crows. You'll find them. And then we have this banded tree brown, another beautiful butterfly. Like we have the different kinds of tree browns here also, but that's a banded tree brown, and that's a blue baron. Blue baron is another beautiful butterfly I saw. Look at this blue stripe. Actually, it extends slightly on the forewing also. See here the forewing, the bottom right. I am talking of the butterfly, the blue baron. The stripe here with the from the base of this from this border of this hind wing, it slightly goes into the border of the forewing also. That's the blue baron. And the skippers, another group of very difficult butterflies to identify, but yes, this is a nice place to see a lot of skippers. The all king. Almost every trip I went to Arunachal Pradesh, I saw at least once this all king there. And these skippers, butterflies actually are very, very partial to bird droppings. More than flowers. Of course, they come to flowers also, but more than flowers, you'll be surprised that these skipper butterflies are partial to bird droppings. And what has happened actually, because they are the feeding habits of, and because the bird droppings actually is a source of nitrates and the salts which is required. So that because of the feeding habits, many of these butterflies have this patch of white. This patch of white here. We have the hairy angle here, hairy angle bottom right. See, the hind wing has got, entire hind wing is almost white because it has habit of sitting on this white dropping. So out of the feeding habit, this patch has evolved, and that helps them to remain almost invisible. When it's on a bird dropping, it remains almost invisible with that white patch. So because of the feeding habits, this adaptive coloration has come in. So here we have different, there's a dark palm dart here in the middle, and of course you have the yellow banded flat here at the bottom left, yellow banded flat here, and dark yellow banded flat, and then the All King. All King is one of the handsomest skipper here on the top left. One of the most handsomest, and there are 2-3 varieties more actually you can find them, but this is the common one, and very handsome, and surprisingly it rarely seen on a flower, but it always seen on the bird dropping. So look out, always keep out looking for bird droppings on the wherever you see. You are likely to find skippers. And butterflies are so salt thirsty. I really surprised when Minom and Roshan keeps on posting pictures of butterflies on their hands. It's no wonder, because they are so much of need of the salts. Is this kind of behavior is not seen in the southern butterflies, in the other parts of India so much, but I saw it very much in the eastern part of northeastern part of India, where butterflies actually just seek this salt so much that they'll come on you. If you're sweating, they'll sit on you. They'll sit on you, they'll sit on your body parts, and they'll on your ears or your neck or your face. Wherever you're sweating, they'll sit. And this is how you can get this Raja sitting there right on the fingertip, and you could photograph at the closest that way. So this kind of behavior is seen very much, of course, in Kerala also I've seen some of the butterflies I saw, they came on my dirty, smelly socks. But in northeast, I can see them, they come on the t-shirts, so sweaty t-shirts, your smelly socks, or your sweating face. They attract butterflies. And look at this, there's a Nawab here in the top left Nawab, and there is a commander behind. And all around this road, as you walk, there are butterflies sitting left and right. And my problem was that, tragic was that these butterflies, when a vehicle comes, of course there is not too much traffic. Recently traffic has increased, but not too much. But when any vehicle comes, they just refuse to fly. Look at this butterfly here on the top right. That's a Jezebel palmfly. The first time I saw this butterfly, Jezebel palmfly, dead. How much I wanted to photograph this butterfly, and when I saw it, my God, I felt so bad. I badly wanted to photograph this butterfly, and I find it's dead on the road, crushed by the vehicle, because it was sitting on a dropping of a carnivore, possibly wild cat dropping, and there are several other butterflies like Nawabs and Rajas, all dead. And that is a big problem, north, especially in Ulta Pani also we went there. There also, vehicles come after every time this butterfly sitting there, and they refuse to fly, and they get crushed. And then the vehicle goes back. Again, the new batch of butterfly comes. Again, they get crushed. So you feel so uneasy about this issue. So I remember one guy, Chaudhary, he was there. He was used to lift this, clean up all those scats and the droppings of these carnivores and put them on the side. Because otherwise you will see this tragic happening of these butterflies getting crushed on, because once they're sitting on this cat droppings, they refuse to move even if the vehicle comes. So that's a big tragedy sometimes. And that's why we didn't want the road to come in Namdafa also, where the fast vehicle will move in, or even in Ulta Pani also. Even the local people said we don't want the road to come, because that will kill butterflies actually. So that's another butterfly here. That's a wizard. Wizard also I saw on the bird, on the dropping. That was a dropping of a carnivore, because it has some hair also in that. And you had the wizard, and the yellow butterfly small are the sapphires. The blue sapphires are there, and then you have the beautiful constable on the bottom right. So beautiful, even the eyes are blue. It's again a beauty of Namdafa. This is you get elsewhere in northeast also. But the best place to photograph this butterfly is Namdafa. And at certain angles you'll get such brilliant blue of this butterfly. It's amazing, and you'll keep on clicking. It's no end to it. So I'm telling you, while you walk, that's the beauty of this Namdafa, that you have to walk, because only if you walk then you'll get to see this and photograph butterflies. If you go in fast vehicle, just pass by, you'll be passing so many opportunities to photograph. So always when you are in an area of butterfly, try to walk as much as you can. And look at the forest. The forest is amazing forest, so rich. And these are actually the biodiversity area which needs to be preserved, because they are the gene pools, just not for birds and butterflies, for us. You see the bananas plant? Actually, these banana plants are wild bananas, which of course in Western Ghats also you'll see them. Sahyadris, you'll see the bananas growing. Right in New Bombay also I have seen a lot of bananas growing here. As you travel to Lonavala, Khandala. So these are the mother of all banana industry of the world. because these are these hold the gene pools. Or something happens to the domestic bananas, these bananas can actually rescue the industry. Because these are the gene pools, and they have the immunity to fight the disease and to give back our food which have derived from these wild species. So that's the reason we require forests, not for birds and butterflies, friends. And again we come to the butterflies. We have this dragon tails. Dragon tails is another thing, the beauty of Namdafa. The first time I saw them, my God, I was trembling with excitement, because I had read about them in the Winterbligh's book, and when I was in the BNHS library, I was in charge of the library then, and I was reading Winterbligh's description of this dragon tail, the white dragon tail, and this is white dragon tail. We have the green dragon tail also, with the white stripe is slightly greenish for the green dragon tail. And this dragon tail, I had seen, I had fantasized that once I should go and photograph them. And finally, when I was in Namdafa, my fantasy was fulfilled, and that was the first time I got to see this beautiful dragon tails. They are very small, as they look almost like dragonflies, but they have a close look. They are different, and they are very much avid mud puddlers. Usually, they'll find them not on flowers, but mainly on mud puddling around. So that's the place to see your white dragon tails. And the green dragon tails, if you want to see, then you should go to Nagaland. That's another good place to see green dragon tails. Nagaland is a good place for green dragons. And then you have the courtier, eastern courtier here on the right. It's another very colorful butterfly. That's a male usually. Females are rather rare, and they're usually very shy, and they remain in the forest. But the males usually come out often to mud puddle, looking for some dropping. This is actually sitting on a dropping on the road, and that is where you get most of your butterflies, actually sitting on a carnivore. Carnivore dropping of the lesser cats, tiger, leopards. Once they are there on the road, my God, the butterflies go crazy for salts, and they are sitting there, and you can get ample number of butterflies just sitting. You sit at that near a dropping, and you will get a variety of almost several species will come for the fly. And then you have this cat's eye. You look at the cat's eye here. We have a Tamil cat's eye in South India. Here's a cat's eye. And then we have these elbow, elbow piaro. You look at this black band here. Top left, you see the black band and the white, small white butterfly with black band. It has got a right angle band. That is the elbow. It bends at an elbow, right angle. That's why it's called elbowed piaro. That's how the names. These names were given by the British officers. When the British officers were posted in India before India got independence. And that was the time when butterflies were studied, and they were collecting also butterflies like stamps. Like today we collect stamps, they were collecting butterflies, catching them, killing them, pinning them. And that's the time they named also butterflies. They studied butterflies. That's the time, and that's why they named like sergeants, sailors, commodore, sergeant major, and all these army names have been given, because this was studied by the army guys only. So obviously they'll give them army names. So that's why we have a lot of names of these common names, these common names are used all over the Southeast Asia, not just India. That's why when we talk of renaming our butterflies, but we have to think about Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. They share our butterflies. We can't call our butterflies as Indian butterflies, Indian swallow, Indian dragon tail, Indian courtier, Indian cat's You can't, because they are shared by our neighboring countries also. Tomorrow we might have a Nepali Jezebel also, and we might have a Pakistani Jezebel also. Would you like it? No. So why call it Indian Jezebel? Let us call it common Jezebel, right? So you have to be careful when you want to renaming butterflies. You have to be careful, sensitive to local people, to other people, to neighboring countries. Bangladesh is quite active now in butterflies. Nepal has got so much of butterflies. Bhutan is there. Pakistan is there. So you have to be careful when you are renaming butterflies. You can't be bullying people with your names. So friends, there's another beautiful butterfly. These are all basically blues, but here is one skipper. That's a tiger hopper. Very, very, very big tiger hopper, like you see. It's actually a butterfly which is as small as your little finger's nail, actually. But it has got a name like tiger hopper, just because of the little marking there of the stripes. But otherwise, it's a very tiny butterfly. It doesn't really suits the name of being a tiger hopper. And then we have the orchid tit. Orchid tit is also found surprisingly in Mumbai also. And we have some Mandar Sawant had studied on this early stages of this orchid tit, and he has published also. That is in Sanjay Gandhi National Park. But orchid tit is a lot more common in Northeast. It could be rare and rarely seen in the South India. But orchid tit is so common that you'll go in the forest, they'll come and sit on you. They're so common. Another beautiful butterfly is the fluffy tit. The bottom left is a fluffy tit. The right bottom is the orchid tit. This is a tiger hopper on the top right, and bottom left is a fluffy tit. It's another beautiful butterfly with long tail. When it flies, it's so beautiful. And opens the wings, blue wings up. And then we have the imperial also, the common imperial with the long tails. But those long tails are much longer than the fluffy tit and the slightly bigger butterfly. And then we have these sapphires. When sapphires open wings, they're brilliant blue. The Indian sapphire you'll find very common there. And then we have the lacewing butterflies. Lacewing butterflies, my God, they're so beautiful. So look at the pattern. This is the red lacewing. The top left is the red lacewing male. And look at the underside pattern. I had seen this some time ago when a WWF had published a book with some foreigner had come to India and he had published a book. And this was a red lacewing is photographed in his book. And when I saw this photograph for the first time, I was so fascinated. My God, I said, very got this butterfly. I must get this butterfly. And finally, when in Namdafa, I got this butterfly, the red lacewing. Of course, we have a Tamil lacewing also down south, which is as beautiful as the leopard lacewing. This is leopard lacewing, bottom left, which is almost, when it opens, it's almost similar to our Tamil lacewing, which you see in South India. South of Maharashtra, Tamil lacewing you can see. That's another beautiful lacewing we have. So we have got three species of lacewings. The Tamil lacewing in south, and then we have the leopard lacewing here in Namdafa. You can see two lacewings. That is the leopard lacewing and the red lacewing. And here you have this yellow. This is a different yellow, not the grass yellow. It's called the tree yellow. Tree yellow. It has got just a black border here, but otherwise there is no black spot. Otherwise the grass yellows usually have a lot of spots on the wings, brown spot, black spot. But this is a very different, and tree yellow is very much a butterfly of the forest. You will not see on the towns but it's a very forest dwellers. Some butterflies are very fussy. They will never be found in the cities. They require that kind of habitat, and you have to really travel inside a good forest to see some butterflies or something. That's very important because they show the importance of forest, because they will be there only when the forest is there. And then we have this beautiful handsome butterfly. That's a swallowtail butterfly called the spangle. And spangle you can identify with this kind of, if it closes the wings, it has got these red crescents here on the hind wing, and then on the inner edge also at the lower tip. It looks like a red breast, but red breast has the pink all along its inner edge here, whereas here it is only a patch. So that's the difference between a red breast and the spangle. Spangle also is very fairly common butterfly. It comes to villages also nearby, and that's where you reach the Deban. That's finally at almost where we take our night's halt. Is this beautiful guest house. I have stayed here for so many years actually. I have been going since 1993. You can imagine. That comes to almost 7 to 9 trips I have made to Arunachal Pradesh in Namdafa. And that's basically where I got, because I was writing books that time. I started writing book later, of course. But when I was writing the books, that really Namdafa really helped me to cover a lot of species in the northeast especially. And this is a beautiful guest house there, right at the bank of the rivers. That Nohading river is there. There's a river there that we'll go across, and that was this beautiful coral tree was flowering that time when we were visiting. This March I was there, just before the COVID lockdown started. We had this butterfly meet, Namdafa butterfly meet, which Minom and Roshan Upadhyay had arranged by the Seeds NGO. So we had a lovely time there, and we had a lot of people from Calcutta, from Bangalore, from Maharashtra. They had come, and we had good time there exploring Namdafa. And now we are going to stay in Deban, and then next morning we are going to cross the river. Because there's a small rivulet actually, not river, but rivulet. And it depends, sometimes the water is too high, sometimes the water is so, it depends what kind of, you can't really walk through, you have to use boat anyway. So let's cross this is a small river that is across the, where the forest lies, and there you have to explore this forest. To go there, you have to cross it. And lovely landscape, and this landscape also has got a lot of interesting species, because there are a lot of places where you can find butterflies mud puddling in the small patches. So you have to keep on exploring these patches also, and you will never be never a dull moment here. Actually, something always there for surprise. And this is how we cross. Either we have a wooden boat there. Earlier we had wooden boats. Now they have this rubber dinghy we have, and they cross with the water is sometimes quite strong, and you have to really take care while crossing. But they always nowadays have the life jackets and all, very compulsory. We ensure that every participant has to wear his life jackets before crossing this. It's a small rivulet, but yes, it's quite fast and deep also, so you have to be careful, and we take all the precautions. Otherwise, this is where you are now. We are planning to go to the forest you see on the opposite side. We are going there. Let's see what we see there. And the rivers, the water is so blue and beautiful. It's an amazing place, you know. I know I've been there, and I always want to go again and again. That's the place where it's like a Mecca to me, you know. Like it's like a pilgrimage for me. That you know, so many butterflies you find this place. And as when we had this BNHS camp there, you know, we had to cross some of the small rivulets, and we had to use the local. Our helpers were there. Volunteers were there local, and they were helping us. These are all BNHS members actually. This is a BNHS camp which we had held in 2008, and that's the time I photographed them, and some of our members crossing the. It's a cold water actually, very cold water. It will actually make your legs go numb. And you know, you can't cross because it's very shallow, but you know, the bottom is full of rounded rocks, so rounded that you might tip off your balance. So you don't have to, you need to have a practice on walking these rounded rocks. So we always have to take this help from the local volunteers. But sometimes the water is so high and fast moving that, you know, we had to I had to hire elephants, because you know, you couldn't go by boat also. Boat was also you know, it was very risky. So what we thought that let's hire elephants, and we sat on the elephants and we walked, and we you know, this guy, we had one naughty elephant with us, you know, one small baby elephant with us, and he was very naughty actually. And he refused to leave his mother alone. You know, wherever his mother went, he always followed her. They tried to hold him back, but he was just refusing. And we had a good time. We shot just to not a long elephant ride, just to cross the rivers. Actually, we avoid riding elephants. Actually, it's not correct sometimes. But you know, this is just for a necessity for safety of the participants. We had to hire to see the elephant is almost half the elephant. As you see this bottom right picture, the elephant is almost half black, because that much it went inside the water. So that much deep the water was, and we couldn't cross by anything, and the water was very fast, too fast to use boats. But it's always exciting to find that. And then when you cross, look at this swallowtails. It's a wonderful wonderland actually. Wonderland of swallowtails. You have the Great Mormon. That's a Great Mormon here. Great Mormon you can see right from Siliguri onwards. You know, from West Bengal you can start seeing Sikkim, and that's a female here on the top. It's a mating picture, and the male is there below. That's a female, and female occurs in more than 9 forms, 9 color forms. You can imagine, like common Mormon, the female occurs in 3 forms, color forms, common Mormon. But Great Mormon, 9 forms, and males are almost 4 different color forms. You can imagine. And then we have this red breast. See, the red breast is different. We had spangle. Spangle also looks like this, but this red stripe, bottom, I'm talking about bottom left. The red stripe here is much, you know, all along the hind wing inner edge, which is not there for spangle. Spangle, you might mistake it, but spangle doesn't have this. This has only patch at this area only of the lower tip, but not for the entire hind wing. That's the difference between red breast and spangle. And this is the common blue bottle. Of course, we have a southern blue bottle here in South India, and this is the common blue bottle, because southern blue bottle has got a tail actually. You know, slightly tail is there at the hind wing. But the common blue bottle doesn't have the tail. So that's the difference between the bottle and the southern blue bottle. Otherwise, once upon a time, both the southern blue bottle and the common and the northern blue bottle was like one species only. But now they are separated. So we have this common blue bottle here, which is found in North India, and the southern blue bottle. It's with a tail slightly, so it is a southern blue. And then you have the handsome 5-bar sword tail. 5-bar sword tail you'll get in. You go to down south, you know, south of Maharashtra. You'll travel in the forests of Goa onwards. Karnataka especially is good. Karnataka, Kerala, and part of Tamil Nadu, is very good places for photographing the 5-bar. But northeast also has got 5. So the same species we have. So that's the 5-bar swordtail, very handsome species. Look at this beautiful fire, and that's how the, how the name 5-bar is. Look at you can count the black bars right from starting from the wing base, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's how this the black bars in the cell are counted, and that's how the name was given 5-bar. And the tail is long, sword tail. That's why it's called 5-bar sword tail. That's how the butterflies are named. Look at these. They're all mud puddlers, basically, majority of them. You have this. Even the fruits, especially the fruits, you find the wild fruits, or even you can bait them also with banana, guava, and pineapple. That also draws a lot of butterflies. And these are the dark archduke females. The male is different, but these are the females of the male archduke butterflies, and they were on the overripe fruits in the forest. Then we have this tabby here. Tabby is a brown butterfly with dark lines across the wings, and that's a punchinello. Sorry, not punchinello. That's such a easy butterfly, and I mixed up the names. I'll get that name, but meanwhile, it happens sometimes when you sometimes you get confused with some common butterfly, and they are so common that you forget the name. This is a butterfly which will see you the most often. You will see them across throughout your travel in this, and it will never let you go. And many times it disappoints you because it is always fluttering around. It's called popinjay. Yes, popinjay. My book came to rescue finally. Popinjay is just one of the most common butterfly here, top left corner. Popinjay here, and the brown butterfly is a tabby. Then we have the Jezebel, the yellow Jezebel, beautiful yellow Jezebel, and that's again the typical for species of the northeast. We have common Jezebel in around Mumbai and South India. Then we have painted Jezebel also in part of eastern Maharashtra and part of Andhra Pradesh also, and bit of Tamil Nadu maybe. But most different varieties of Jezebel you'll find northeast. And dusky diadem. Dusky diadem, look at the beautiful range of eye spots. And these eye spots basically is a pair of get his attention towards the less vulnerable part of the body. If there's attack, the attack will be on the eye spots. So main butterfly will be safe. And butterfly's life is as such a month or two. It's good enough for the butterfly to survive. But these eye spots protect them because there is an attack. The attack will be on the edges of the wings, and that will not harm the butterfly as such. That's how these eye spots are there. Many butterflies use this kind of trick to divert the predator's attention towards the less vulnerable part of the body. That's how it works out. And then there was a snake there, dead snake, and this sergeant, this orange sergeant there, it was sitting on it. Now, in Ulta Pani, there was a pit viper, green pit viper. It is in my book actually. The green pit viper was dead on the road, and there were other butterflies just flocking around this dead pit viper. I got a photograph in the book. If you have my book, you'll see that. So basically, in northeast, they're very salt thirsty, and this kind of dead animals, crabs, frogs, insects, and snakes and other reptiles also, when they're dead, they'll attract a lot of butterflies to seek salts and nitrates. So that is very, especially this fast flying butterflies, possibly there is a research paper also why these butterflies come for the dead animals, carcasses and other carrion feeders they're called. So they come because they require those kind of nitrates and salts for their fast flying. They require that kind of for the muscles. And here you have Kohinoor. The top right is the Kohinoor. It's a very shy butterfly, stays in the forest. When it opens, it's blue up inside. But I couldn't see the blue. Slightly we got a glimpse of it, but it never opens and like other butterflies. But otherwise, once in a foliage, it's difficult to see. But here it came out, and we could photograph it, the Kohinoor. And then the other butterfly you get in Namdafa is the best place to photograph the branded yam fly. Branded yam fly, the tail here, top, bottom right. This branded yam, Namdafa is the best place to photograph it. Branded yam fly, though it is found in the entire northeast, but I found that this is the best place to photograph. Then you have these sunbeam butterflies are found also in South India also, and you have different species, right from common sunbeam to we have the acute and the bright sunbeam here. We have the tooth sunbeam. It is the tooth. This is the tooth sunbeam. You see why it is called tooth sunbeam? Look at this, the bottom left I am talking about. This dark border is there, and there is a small tooth here. A tooth here, that's what called tooth sunbeam. The females are white and black, and the males have got this orange and dark border. That's how you see the sunbeams. And look at the crazy butterfly crazy guys, and it was an sort of a treat to them, like people going crazy, rolling on the ground for trying to get them in the frame. It's an amazing to see this people going crazy, and that's the craziness and passion you can see when you go out on such outings. And you have to be crazy actually, when you want to do something, pursue something in life, to achieve something, you need to be crazy of that level. So that's how butterfly photography is. I tell people, go down, be a butterfly yourself, or be a frog, or be a ant if you can, and photograph the butterflies. Don't photograph like a human being photographing a butterfly, but be a frog or a bird. On that level you go and photograph that. So that is very important. So that is what the craziness tells you. And the forest, look at the forest. In the Arunachal Pradesh, the forests are so dense and dark sometimes, and that's what all the diversity you see with the butterflies, birds, and flowers, and so many other things. The mammals also, plenty of mammals are there, but they are very shy because sometimes the local tribes do hunt. So that is a possible reason. Possibly the mammals are still shy there. It's a tiger reserve, in fact, one of the important tiger reserves of India. But the forests are amazing, and that's also a place for orchids. If you are in April and May, you certainly going to find a lot of orchids here, but you have to look for them, search for them. But yes, and you might have to have a longer lens because many of the orchids are in tall trees, sometimes inaccessible. But possibly the low hanging orchids have been taken away by people. That always happens, unfortunately. And there's this agapetes flowers, the lantern flowers I saw in Arunachal Pradesh. There's a small hill there. So we went for a trek there, and there we found this wild plant. This is a very interesting flower. And then this is often cultivated in local villages also. This is agapetes flowers. And of course, that's a place for hornbills and variety of hornbills. You can see the brown hornbills, the wreath hornbills. Amazing. But the forest is so good. That's the place to see the birds also. Bird watching is so rewarding in this place. Of course, I went for butterflies, so obviously, but birders also go there often, again and again, and people even for snakes and reptiles and frogs. This is another interesting place. So this is rich in diversity actually. That's the reason you get so many things. If you are interested in certain, it will never let you down. You'll always be rewarded. And here is the gibbons. When there's a good day, actually, when the sun is shining and that it's not going to rain. Because if it rains, that means your day is spoiled. No butterfly is going to come out, and you'll not hear a single gibbon calling. But when the gibbons start calling in the morning, around when it's after sunrise, that's a good time that okay, today's day is going to be good. So that's a good sign to start with the gibbon calling, and they call so much like it is Share Bazaar of Mumbai, Share Bazaar calling. Sometimes, like earlier Share, now it is not got digital. Earlier it was quite a rowdy place and crowded place. So it's like some railway station. So they keep on calling each and every, and that's a good sure sign that today we will have sunny day and good for butterflies. So always watch for gibbons, and that's a gibbon sitting there in the dark canopy. And of course, trekking in this road will never disappoint you. It's so amazing. The forests are so beautiful that they always want you. They want to you want to go again and again this place. So beautiful. And friends, with this, of course, we had to pack up. Finally, we had to leave, and reaching there is not a problem. There are roads are there till Miao at least. Inside roads are muddy, of course, and tight, but you have to still, go there. And if you are going to Arunachal Pradesh, Namdapha especially, you got to contact these guys. One is Phupla Singpo. Phupla Singpo stays there in Miao, and he has been my constant contact since 2008. He has been a Phupla Singpo is in the middle. The small photograph of Phupla Singpo is here, and he's a low-key guy, but he has an excellent setup in the Miao, a lovely place to stay, and he has excellent camp arrangements, and he will take you inside and you will enjoy. So all our BNHS camps we have been holding with Phupla Singpo, and he's there on the Facebook also. You can locate him on the Facebook, and you can contact him, and you can always visit Namdapha with his help. And then of course we have Minom. Minom is very active on the Facebook, and Minom and Roshan Upadhyay. Roshan is actually a police guy actually, but he loves butterflies. He's possibly the rarest of the police I have found who loves butterflies. Was the only police guy who loves butterflies, and so much that he has got butterflies all over him. That's Roshan, of course, sweet guy. So these guys are there, Roshan, Minom and Pupla. These guys are there on the Facebook, and you can contact them. And Minom and Roshan actually run the NGO called Seeds, and they are the one who actually arranged the last butterfly meet. Also, I had been there. They had invited me to come there, and they are wonderful people, and they can really. They are also looking for the trying to protect the forest. So always do join them, support them, their efforts to protect this one of the most beautiful forests we have in India. That's Namdafa. And friends, from iNature Watch, before I leave, I'll take you. We have developed free apps. These are basically for apps, Android apps actually, and they are you can use the butterfly app, iButterflies, birds are there, and then trees are there, and then we have got the e-forest for Sanjay Gandhi National Park, and these are all free. You can download free for Android platform, and they don't require any internet then. Network, it doesn't require network. Once you download, they can work on their own. So do, and this butterfly app, we have got 50 butterflies with the early stages also, and you can use it in any cities of India. So do download this, the free mobile app. You can always, and we have online courses on butterflies for beginners. We have got 6 weeks course. So you are sitting at home and in the lockdown you have some time, you can always join for our courses. We have 6 chapters and 3 video lectures by experts. So do join us, and we have this our page in the website, page and website also in the Facebook, and there's a separate website, iNature Watch Foundation, and I am there as a chairman of this NGO, and Dr. Shubha Lakshmi is also there as a co-founder. So most welcome, and thank you so much for joining this online tour or virtual tour of Namdafa. Thank you so much, friends. And if you have any questions, I can answer there on the, yeah, you can do on the, you can write them on the chat box and I can answer them. So thank you so much.